You're listening to Rein with Ash and Josh.
Right, we're all ready. You starting with the intro?
Welcome back to the Rein podcast with Ash and Josh, the #1 equestrian podcast. And today we have an exceptional guest with us, an absolute household name in the show jumping industry. Numerous under 25 European medals to his name. And he's just recently finished 5th at the London GCT 5-star. Welcome, Olli Fletcher.
Thank you for having me on.
Welcome, buddy. Welcome. Thank you for driving all this way. Really means a lot.
Better be worth it.
Yeah, we'll try and...
We'll slowly break you into this episode. We don't know which way it could go, but we'll hopefully keep it in the more professional way. Let's start with a nice one. Everyone knows Olli Fletcher, the show jumper. You jump in front of so many people, so there's no way that you're not recognised. You're a household name, but that's only sort of so deep. So first question is, who is Olli Fletcher?
I don't think anyone wants to know that. No, I mean, grew up the whole time with my parents riding and everything, so following in their footsteps, and yeah, one step onto the other, and here we are now.
So you've, like you said there, you grew up with your mum, your dad, you've got your brother who's a show jumper himself. How has that been growing up in that environment? Because how amazing the opportunities have been for you, having that support network around you. But the pressure that must be as well, living up to that sort of name, must be difficult, no?
Yeah, sure there's pressure, but there's pressure at top sport, no matter who's behind you or who's supporting you. I think it's amazing. Both my parents are there. Some people have a leg up to the sport, but we've had two.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's difficult sometimes with both of them there telling you different things, wanting different things. But at the end of the day, the four of us together, we only want the best for everyone and to try and be successful financially and in the ring as well.
It's very different though, the sport in which you're in. It's not like Ronaldo's dad is his footwork coach. Do you know what I mean? It is an elite sport you're in, and I think it's becoming, especially nowadays, more apparent how much of an athlete you have to be. I mean, we certainly try and push that people need to treat themselves more as athletes to do what you guys are doing. But at that level of athleticism, there's a cross between the hobby and performance of I want to achieve, but it's also a business now, and we know better than everyone. We've had to run in our business as friends. Where's our business hat, and then where's our friendship hat? Is that quite a difficult thing that took a while to...
I don't think it took a while to transition into it, because it's always been instilled into yourself. It's certainly hard when you do have a superstar of a horse and someone comes and offers you crazy money that it will change your life, but equally keeping the horse will change your life. Yeah. So it's, but no, the parents haven't put any pressure on us to sell. It's always our decision. I've got some very good owners behind me as well. So they're good enough to keep it with us and put no pressure on it financially.
So what is the day-to-day life for yourself?
So we'd get up normally 6, sometimes earlier if we're busy, and then ride from between 8 to 12 horses. Then if you have time, just mess around on the tractor in the afternoon or something like that. And if you have time, you try and go for a run or something to keep yourself fit.
It's a very different version because you hear that and you think yard life still very normal, instilled in what you've done from the beginning. And like you say, the afternoon, I'll just piss about on the tractor, which is fantastic. Still proper country boy. But then you're almost like doing a travelling circus at the same time, especially with the GCT. You're going here, there and everywhere. And I think it is probably the closest sport I would relate to this is Formula One.
Yeah, I think they did try and copy Formula One a little bit in how they're doing it. But to be honest, it's amazing for the sport to have so many different places in the world that you can travel to and such big prize money. And with Longines and Rolex competing with one another, it's only just going to push the sport to be bigger and better.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to have sponsors behind that, I mean, it must make you feel like, shit, I'm in the right sphere here. Like, do you almost look around at points and go, how the hell am I here?
Yeah, it'd be grand when you can win a watch like that.
What is it? Is that a Longines?
A Longines, yeah.
Oh, mad. Mine's just a BTEC ASOS buy. I'm not quite that good of a jumper yet, Ollie.
For everyone listening, he did just flex his watch.
Very, very, very nice watch. But I see that all the time when people are winning and they're just getting gifted like watches. I'm thinking they take the watches off of them and they're like, cheers. And I'm just like,
hardly crack a smile.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, you could have just lost that 20 grand, but you've just won it in a watch there. eBay that. Take that to a pawn dealership. You've got a good. You've just won a lot of money on your wrist.
Yeah.
I always see it. Yeah, that high. Yeah, nice. Thank you very much.
There's cars and everything. Last week in Brussels, Ben Mary must have won 130 grand, and he won an Audi worth 80 or 90 grand.
Wait, what? They win car? I thought it was watches was the only thing that got given out.
No, sponsors. Depending on sponsors, isn't it?
Because I see Audi. I saw someone in the warm-up ring. Because I saw you jump at GCT. I was there specifically for you, Ollie. There you go.
I appreciate that.
I lie. I was there because I was invited, but I was very happy to see you do well. But yeah, I saw someone in the warm-up ring with an Audi crest on. I was like, shitting out, like, you've actually got very mainstream sponsors involved in this industry.
Yeah.
Similar to what we've tried to do with Half Step, I'm sure it's one of your favourite brands, is Breach.
He's not even heard of it.
Well, you're going home with it. You're going home with a big old bunch of goodies later. We do a lot for men, young boys, to normalise the sport and make them feel more confident in what they're doing. They don't want to be riding around in tight breeches and then feel awkward going to Sainsbury's with their mum and being like, I look like a girl, why I'm wearing the wrong stuff. So we try to make Half Step a very mainstream brand as well as incorporate that questionism into it. And it feels like it's at a time where actually mainstream brands like Longines, Rolex, Audi getting involved in it. There's a little bit of a crossover now where people are sort of into accept equestrianism.
Yeah, well, you only have to look at Tommy Hilfiger now. They've got involved in it and trying to do their brand themselves in equestrian, aren't they?
Yeah, entirely so. How was like you coming into the like obviously you've grown up with your mum and dad and everything like that. Was horses just what you wanted to do? That like there was no doubt in your mind?
For me, yeah, my brother not so much, but we're still. I was quite good at school. I didn't try as hard as I should have done, but no, I did enjoy school to a certain aspect. But I really enjoyed football. Me and my brother played a lot of football. I was playing not for the main academy, but Arsenal, like
development centre. Yeah.
So that was good. But then it came to a point when I was about 12, 11, and you had to pick one or the other.
Okay.
Is there, you say, because you compete against your brother, don't you?
Yeah.
Is there much of a rivalry there?
Not at all, actually. If obviously I want myself to win, but if I don't win, there's no one more I want to win than my brother, and we're helping each other. And as soon as you come out the ring, you say, look, the distance down there, be careful, or whatever. We'll walk the course together in the collecting ring together. We try and push one another to be better. You only have to look like I when I was jumping at London, he wasn't. He was always there with me, trying to help me, and it's good to have people on the ground to tell you things that you can't see when you're warming up.
Do you have a rivalry with anyone though? Is there like someone that you're like, oh, you know what, I just want to beat you?
Not really. I
can see it in your eyes.
I have a mindset with everyone. I don't want to be beaten full stop. No, I think it's a bad mindset to get into, because I think then it just overclouds your judgment. I think when you're jumping every single week, you kind of have to just forget about who you're competing against. You beat the course, and then you have to get quickest time to jump off. Yeah. I don't think you can really. As soon as you start comparing yourself to someone, I think that's when you get bitter and sour.
I would see, and this perspective might be completely wrong, because I've only been into horses for like the last 2 years, and I'm still learning about it, and I find it like GCT. I found it fascinating. I found these competitions fascinating, especially from a financial point of view, what people are winning and at the top end of performance of what that industry looks like. But linking that with a conversation of, well, is there competitiveness between people? It's one thing going round a local track and going, I would like to beat him, but yeah, have fun. But when there's potentially like, some of these are like 230,000 or 200, I can't even.
Yeah, you're looking at millions.
You're
Anyway.
looking at millions on some of them. And for that could run a yard for a whole year. Sometimes it's not even about ego, but the minute you put money into that and there's a pressure of, I need to perform here, like otherwise the other people are reliant on me to do so. Does that pressure put it on you, but also is there a level of, does that up the competitiveness between people?
100%. It's at the end of the day, shouldn't really be saying this, but it is all about the money. Like, you know, when you come out the ring and a jump off, say you go into second or third and you've got two behind you, they beat you and you're thinking, shit, I've lost another 10 grand. They beat you again and that's another 15 grand. Like it's...
But but it's not wrong. Honestly, 100%. I think it's not wrong to say I do it for them. We had.
I don't say I do it for money. Like
no, you do it for the love of it. But it's like
I wouldn't change it if you cut the money 5 times. I wouldn't change it. But it's still like at the end of when you're traveling back from the show on the Sunday, you're looking at your bank account and see if you lost or earned money that week.
100%. I mean, we had a business consultant on last week. Brilliant consultant. And one of the points she said, everyone thinks profit's a dirty word, and it's not. People are running a business at the end of the day. Like if you are to run a yard and people say, I don't like the yard, he only cares about his profit. Well, yeah, it's a business.
Yeah,
like you can turn over, and it's 100%. It's fantastic that you can love what you do. You'll never work a day in your life, but you need to come away from that and go, look, I'm progressing financially in my life. I'm putting it forward. And it's really interesting you said about, because I thought this when I was watching you at London, and I was talking to my partner about the financial side of it. Once you get into the jump off, I'm going, I wonder if people are sitting there and actually counting the numbers at that point. Because I was saying to her, like, what do they get for fifth now? And she's like, it'd probably be that. And I'm going, fuck me, so they've just lost, because out of like maybe a second, half a second, 10 grand there. And you're like, what?
More. Like when I was fifth and I got, I think, 23 grand, but the winner was 120. But equally, it was my first 5-star, my horse's first 5-star. We couldn't have been a second and a half quicker. Like we didn't know enough. So I think there has to be, when there's money on the line, it's also important to look at it. Forget about the money and think what's right for yourself, what's right for the horse. Because if I tried to go and beat Jesse Springsteen, neither of us knew enough. Hopefully in a year, then we will. Yeah. But for the moment, we didn't. And if I was to push him to something that he wouldn't know how to do, then all your hard work over however many years can just be thrown
just
down the drain
in a second. I mean, you looked quite emotional after that.
Yeah, it was. I've never had a connection with a horse like that. When we bought him, he did one 80 centimetre event, and that was when he was 6, so already he was late. We bought him, but we didn't have enough stables for the horse, and this was in October. So then he was turned out in the field, and no one could catch him. Then my brother went, it was actually bought for my brother, and he went to Morocco on a tour for 3 weeks. And I was at school, so I was on half term. So then I went down to the fields to check the horses. I didn't even know the horse's name. And I rang Mum. I said, Mum, the bay horse that no one could catch is trotting over to me. I was like, fucking hell, like, bring it in. So chucked head collar on it, chucked tack on it, jumped quite good. So we took it to the show that day, took it to the show the next day. And then we were offered some money for it. So then we immediately sold it to an owner so I could keep the ride. And then that was when he was 7. So we hadn't done much at all. And we took him very slowly. We always thought he was a very good horse. And back end of last year, started this year, he was really, really good. And I was hoping we were going to start getting some called up for some bigger 5-star shows. And then in start of March, he had colic in Villamora. And we should have lost him. The vet said he's dead. I'm sorry. And it was 3 or 4 hours in the back of a 2-horse. And it's horrible. When they're colicking, they want to go to the floor. If they go to the floor, they're dead. So it was 3-4 hours of trying to keep the horse up. Like, it was the worst experience of my life. And then even when he got there and had the colic, they said, I don't think he's going to survive. And then 6 months later, to come back and do that, it was... yeah, emotions hit me quite hard.
Wow.
But watching that interview, it was so nice to see how much it actually meant to you.
Yeah.
Like, that story alone is absolutely incredible. And then to go on and do what you did. But I know I've experienced that as well. I had a horse where we were traveling. He was suffering from colic, and you were literally having to do everything in your power to keep that horse on it. It's the worst thing I've ever had to do, because you know how much that horse is in pain during that. But I was literally I was there with a whip trying to keep him up. It's awful, because I knew if he hit the ground, he was going to die.
I think it was 3 degrees and I had to take off my t-shirt because I sweat through it. Like, that's how much pressure it was to try and keep him up. The vet was pulling me back, saying, like, you're always going to fall on top of you, like, you're going to break your legs. And I was, like, prepared to do that to keep him up. Like,
I may be wrong for assuming, but we've had people on where you can tell there's everyone, I connect with my horse, and straight away I can see that you've probably had connections with horses. You have to. It's what you do. You have to literally feel the seat between what you're doing, etc. But there's an emotional connection with people to horses. We've spoken about it from your perspective, how you struggled with your emotions because you were used to just dealing with stuff quietly and just reacting to people. We've had MMA fighters on where they've gone through a difficult breakup and was borderline on the edge of life, and that saved them. The way you talk about this horse isn't just it was a really good horse, really enjoyed riding it, had a special connection, enjoyed it. Was there the question I'm getting to, and this is where I may be wrong, and so please correct me, was there something going on in your life at that moment that made you connect with that horse in a different way? Actually
not, to be honest. I love all the horses. It's so nice as soon as they come out into the yard, they're all put their heads outdoors, put their ears forward. But this one, as soon as you come out, it screams its head off. Just screams its head off. If you go to a horse before him, then he would go into the back of a stable and he would have no interest. He's the sulkiest bastard you've ever met in your life. But no, he's just different in every aspect. I've got an unbelievable team of horses now. I've got 6 horses that can jump big tracks, but you sit on a horse like that, it's different.
Wow. You've touched on you've got 6 horses there, right? And we know being a rider, you've got like moments where the door is like everything is going in your direction and everything is looking really positive. Got 6 horses, but we know how quickly that can change in this industry to go to 1 very quickly overnight. What challenges have you faced throughout your career so far that have enabled you to be in the situation you are now, where you're making the most of the opportunities that you're being gifted?
I think the hardest one for me, so as a rider, like, your first Senior Nations Cup is massive in show jumping. And last year I got to do 2 at Lisbon and Madrid. And Lisbon, I had horse there, and it was okay in the first round. I had a spook on the water, and then the second round the lights came on. Wouldn't want to go anywhere near the water, and I fell off. And then the week after, went to Madrid on the Senior Nations Cup, and I swapped horses. No idea why. First round was really good. Second round, she put her head down and threw me in a water tray. So that was my first 2, and I fell off in both. And I was devastated. Came out the ring, and my knuckle there. I smacked the fence so hard I shattered my knuckle.
We always know the fence will win.
It did.
The fence and
it's a lot harder than me.
They will win every time.
And then after that, before I was actually selected to do another Nations Cup in Italy, near Milan. I didn't really know what to do, like, with both my horses doing that, And I had 1 show before, and we did very well. With 2nd in the big class and then 4th in the Grand Prix. And then we came back and I was double clear and we won the Nations Cup. Wow. Which was the best feeling I've had, because after 2 weeks were probably mentally the worst 2 weeks of my life. And then to come back and it's just not even like the happiness, just the relief of it all,
Were you doubting yourself in that period of time? No?
I guess it's kind of the mindset you've got to have when you're performing at that level. But I guess there's such fine seconds into it. There is no room to doubt yourself, even off of that course.
No, I wasn't on the team for Italy. It was only because I pushed myself on and did well the week before. And they said, I don't think you should be on. And I was pushing myself. And they did. They shouldn't have, because after the 2 weeks before, I should not have been on the team. But lucky enough, they did. And we proved them that it was the right decision.
You jump in front of a lot of people. You're doing it at such a high level. Is there a lot of pressure that comes with that for you? Like, how you, say you had a bad 2 weeks, you could punch a fence courageously and lose. But you do that. And
I'll have him next time, though.
I 100% believe it. I've seen the biceps. I think you've got it in you. But you get one of those, because people, you've got a lot of fans, girls, whatever, that see you in a second and then take that image of you and go, oh, he's wrong. He's done wrong there. And you get crucified for a moment lapse of that. How is that? Because we get it. We've had it on. We spoke about social media. We blew up very big, very quickly on social media, and we was doing a lot of things. But then behind the scenes, we were struggling with a lot of things in our own way. So that's where the relation comes to it. To you, is it a lot of pressure on you to be a certain media way, or I need to make sure because of this industry, I need to be portrayed in this way?
I think it's important not to get too worked up about what people think about you. In my opinion, anyway. If someone doesn't like me, they don't have to like me. I don't really care. But I think it, like you said, there is, when you get to bigger shows, there is cameras and there's people, and one small thing can blow up to the extreme. Like, your horse can jump terrible and knock a load of jumps down. You only have to pull it up too hard, and you lose sponsors, you lose owners, and it can all go down the drain very quickly. So I do think you have to be very careful on horse animal welfare and how you act when there is a lot of people there. But yeah, that would be the only thing I could really say.
Yeah, imagine them pulling out that quickly. For one, I can't imagine how they'd leave someone. You'd work round the clock, the years you've put in, you get that moment of, but then because of 1 second out of that, sponsor's gone. Because I imagine it's quite difficult to do a lot of that without the sponsorship as well, isn't it?
Yeah, especially your owners, they're the most important, and the sponsors help so much. But yeah, like I said, you can lose them as quick as you gain them.
I have had many owners through dressage and everything like that, and what I found is, obviously you're a few years younger than me, but I've found it really hard always saying yes, because I was always focused on pleasing my owners, right? And I imagine no different to you, I have had some amazing owners, but I've also had some really shit owners as well. How, obviously I imagine it's really helpful having your mum and dad there and your brother as well to support you through that. How is it for a 20-year-old guy to manage owners who sometimes are in the 40s, 50s, quite old? How do you look after that situation?
I think the main thing is to be honest with them, be truthful, and that's what I've done. It's worked very well. I've got the owner that owns the good horse. They've been fantastic with me to keep it. They could have sold it for a hell of a lot of money, and they've decided to keep it with me, which I'm so grateful for. We've got another owner who's amazing. She owns 7 or 8 horses with me, and she's family. Like, you don't treat her like an owner, you treat her like she is part of the family, which is lovely. But no, we've had a few different owners throughout my career, and we've been very lucky. I think I'm also lucky with my parents there have a good family name or outfit that would attract maybe easier people to deal with, or but yeah, at the moment it's been very smooth runnings.
Do you have to compete, or have you competed those horses owned by different people at the same time?
Yeah.
What's the how does that dynamic work?
Like I said, I've been very lucky with my owners. They're very understanding. The owner that owns 7 or 8 horses with me, she actually comes to shows even if it's not her horse. She came to the Europeans last year, yeah, and it wasn't her horse there, but she wanted to come and support. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have people like that behind me.
It sounds like you have an amazing team around you.
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. Because I remember I was competing. That's why I asked this, because it's always really interesting to hear people's perspectives. I was going down the centre line, and I was like, I've got 2 horses in this class, and I was like, no matter if I come first and second, one owner is going to be pissed with me. And funny enough, I did come first and second, and one of them was pissed with me. Yeah. But that's what I always found was so difficult, trying to just balance owners, and that's why what we've always tried to put across and ask questions like this is to hear your people's unique perspectives to educate people around it. Because this is what I said when we had Felicity Collins on, was a lot of owners come into the sport, they don't necessarily maybe have a background in riding. Some of them do, some of them don't. They don't maybe have a background in high performance sports. So it can be really hard trying to look after owners and trying to make a career, because we're so reliant on them to, like you say, you've got an owner who's got 7-8 horses. If without them, you're a lot lower down. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, you're lucky that you've got an amazing owner, but that also you create that little luck yourself. That's the thing. You earn that. But it's always really, really interesting to hear how people can manage owners. But like I say, I think it's brilliant where you have your mum and your dad you probably got such a good team around you that it just works simultaneously.
Yeah.
A question. Funny we're on a podcast, I will ask. Is there anything about the equestrian world that you think could change or be better? Because I could list you a load of things that I think, but I'll be interested to know what. No. This is my show, Ollie. I will ask the questions.
I'll try back another 2 hours.
None of that professional media trained. But I'll say the industry as a whole is a little bit outdated. I'll give you that from my personal side without giving you my answers. As a professional rider, and from an honest perspective, to better the sport, to better the industry as a whole, is there anything that you think could be done better, could be used with changing?
I think in England the money is useless. It's absolutely terrible. It used to be the biggest country for show jumping. So when my dad was jumping in the 70s and the 80s, people from America would come to England to be jumping at shows like Norfolk and Bath and West and places like that. And that's in the 70s, it was 1,000, 2,000 to the winner, and it still is now. And then you see shows like countries like Belgium and Holland, they've got 150 international shows in 1 year, and we've got 15. And how badly English shows have gone downhill, and how every other country around us has gone better and better. And really, it's only to do with money. Like, you only have to look as well how many English people are based abroad. They go to America through the winter. They base themselves in Belgium through the summer. They're very rarely in England.
Why do you think British show jumping has declined like that in that way?
The prize money at shows, really. There's not enough money to be won at shows to stay in England. Mm-hmm. Now we had Chepstow last week, which is a good show. Now we've got Horse of the Year show, which is a good show. And then London, Olympia, which is very difficult to get into. And they're the only 2 big shows we've got left this year. And then you look at France, Belgium, Holland, Germany. They would have 20 or 30 shows left.
Well, you've listed 2 shows that are once a year, and the facilities that are there aren't there 24/7 anyway.
No.
They're there just for one show thing. And I think, again, like I say, from the dressage perspective, we just keep losing showgrounds. That's all that happens with us. We have less showgrounds than ever before. The facilities over here are terrible in comparison to Europe. I'm lucky my aunt, she competed on the Nations Cup team for Great Britain. She's an event rider based out in America, just turned show jumper. The facilities they have out there.
In Wellington?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Like literally the World Equestrian Centre. I remember when I went out there, I was out in Orlando and I was on a yard. Well, this was like 7-8 years ago now. And they obviously, everyone's just based in one place for like the whole winter.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so like who's here? And she was like, oh, I think there's like 15 Olympic medalists here.
Yeah.
I was like, that's mad. They've got like 20 show jumping arenas across country course, 20 flat work arenas, all in one place. We don't have that in the whole of the England.
We highlight the problem. So there's a lot to do with the shows, the funding in Britain. How do they change that then? There's the problem. Where's the solution?
I think BSJ, they need to be a little bit better. I think they're very, very greedy on taking profits out of shows. They don't help shows. Bowlsworth 2-star, they give them 0 funding. Portugal, when they run their 3-star shows in Vilamora, I know it's different because it's a tourist attraction and everything like that, but they get over $1 million from the government to help.
What?
Yeah. To run the whole thing. And that's the government, that's not even the Portuguese Federation. And then when you look at Bowlsworth, when it costs them a fortune to run, because none of the arenas there, but all of the marquees and everything, like that's just rented for that 1 week. It costs an absolute fortune, and they've got no help. They have to find their own sponsors to help fund it.
I didn't even know that there was government funding for that.
Yeah, well, I don't know in every country, but I know in Portugal, because we know the owner quite well. He gets,
Is it very similar to the issues that you have? Not issues, situations you would like to address to BD? I was trying to remember.
British dressage, you mean BD? Yeah.
BD, it's just BD, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I don't think enough is done to look after riders. I think it's been brilliant sat down and talking to you so far. It's been amazing to see how much personality there is for a rider. I think personalities in the sport are huge. You look at, like, if you think of MMA, you think Conor McGregor because there's so much personality. You think Tyson Fury for boxing. Yeah. And I think so many of these riders.
You comparing me to those two?
Well, we'll see what your
see what the numbers say after this.
We'll see what your next interview after your next GCT's like.
But yeah, like the sports needs personality, needs an attraction. Yeah. Like we've come across opportunities that have come about some big interest into the equestrian industry, but no one knows how to make it work. And we've sort of always touched on like how Drive to Survive highlights the rivalry and everything in Formula One. It got you interested in Formula One after watching it, didn't it? Yeah. And we're like, there needs to be seen more of doing that. Like half the crap that gets put out there and the way that you have to be because you've got to be a certain way to be
sponsors, owners.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it very, very difficult to. Because like my dad, he doesn't like horses at all. I think he watched me like 3 times in my whole life.
But from an outside perspective, it is boring, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, completely. But it needs to be like if you went like to like London GCT, you're not really horsey. You don't really like the show jumping. You're there, but the spectacle in itself makes it interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate it when you see top riders and they jump clear or they win a class and they're like, yeah, good.
Yeah, I
lose my head. I lose my mind every time.
Yeah, literally. Well, it's also like for you to come say, yeah, you'll come on this. I was like, sweet. There's numerous people that we have reached out to, and we're like, it would just be very interesting to hear your story, hear about you.
So when you say there's numerous people, how far down the pecking order was I?
No, you're one of the top. You're
27, mate. Do you know what I mean? So it's top 100, 27.
But like, they don't even get back to you, and I'm like,
yeah.
Fine, no worries, but whatever. But like,
I think that's similar to we're saying about like bringing equestrianism up to date. Like a lot of the older blokes would sort of or go there look at this and I don't understand it. Whereas a lot of the younger guests that we've had on or plan to come on, they grew up with podcasts, they grew up with TikTok, Instagram, social media. They understand it, and also it's an importance. Like you may not. And this isn't from an owner's perspective, you may not be the best of the best, but if GCT know that all of a sudden Ollie Fletcher, even though say hypothetically he's only 15 out of the top 20, but his personality, he's a showman, and people go, he may not win today, but people are coming to, they want to see Ollie. It's similar to like Conor McGregor. Like right now, he is not the Conor McGregor that everyone saw fight when he was fighting on welfare and he was doing it because he needed to survive. He's not the same fighter, but if he goes and fights tomorrow, I bet you damn straight all of us will buy the pay-per-view or we'll be so interested in it to watch it. And it's that level of being able to be a showman, be yourself.
It would be like Nick Kyrgios, isn't it? The tennis player. I have no interest in tennis, but I'd watch him.
He's a legend, isn't he? I absolutely love him.
100%.
Well, he was on Impulsive, for God's sake. A tennis player was on Impulsive.
Yeah, you just, it's unheard of. And I think it is going to take one person in this industry to do that. And then I think there'll be a lot of mainstream attention. And I'm very curious to see who's going to be the first person that it clicks with and does it. Because like you're right, I see people, they win a class or whatever, 200 grand in the bank, brand new Audi Q8, like you say. Yeah, well, love my horses. Really big thank you to my owners, my sponsors. And go and celebrate tonight. Yeah, thank you very much. And they walk off. I'll beat anyone that wants to go with a clear round for me. That's what I want to see afterwards and go, let's go. That's the show. But you just don't see it.
No.
But then I think show jumping is it's the discipline that probably has the most amount of interest externally from like the mainstream side, and probably has the most room for growth in that aspect. Whereas like fuck me, dressage is if we saying like horses is boring, dressage, Jesus Christ.
I think it's difficult as well, isn't it? Because in I wouldn't know. So I'm guessing it's similar in dressage, but in show jumping, like everyone's friends as well. You know, like before you go and jump Grand Prix on Sunday, you will go out for dinner, or you go out. You're good friends, you know.
Yeah.
So what is going out like, and then as a show jumper?
I mean, I don't go out, but
There was a smile there that indicated you may be chatting some shit.
As a 20-year-old guy, you must go out now and again when you're out.
no, it's nice. Where like you say, it's
Yeah, I bet it is.
so I've heard. No, you're with your friends all the time, and when you do manage to have an easy day or a day off, you're in like some of the biggest cities in the world. So it's pretty cool.
Do you have what's it like having like a personal or like a romantic relationship surrounding that? Because it's like, if you was like a movie star or on a circus, like, is it very difficult for you to like get yourself like a probably not difficult to get a girlfriend, but is it difficult to like maintain a romantic relationship?
Maintaining all of them at the same time is difficult, isn't it?
different cities in the GCT is basically your biggest wingman to keeping them all separate. It makes complete sense.
Just keep them all in separate cities.
As long as they don't speak a different language, then they'll have no idea about
Exactly.
them.
You just have to have plenty of different phones as well.
Now you're trying to make me think you're a drug dealer. To the Longines sponsors, I want you to know that was a joke. I'm referring to ourselves. But
There's some girls that aren't going to be happy listening to this podcast.
Can we cut that bit out?
but it's very difficult to. Horses are a lifestyle, as we all know, and it isn't like. So when I first started posting TikToks, as well, Horse Girls Are Fit, fantastic, and Josh was like, it's really great that you're getting followers off of that, but be careful not to get an equestrian girlfriend, because the lifestyle, he was like, I've grown up on horses, so I can adapt to that, I understand it. It will be a very different change. I was like, how hard can it be? Met the love of my life, fantastic woman.
How long did that last for?
Oh no, still going strong, still going strong. But it is a change. Like, it is a massive change to, you have to learn about, okay, well, we can't go on holiday like that. Or it's a case of, well, it's just a Saturday where we went, well, I need to ride. I need to at least, because the horse doesn't just stop being a horse. It's still an animal. You still need to...
Christmas Day is the busiest day.
Honestly, Christmas Day, the last 2 Christmases, I've spent up the yard. And I'm fine with it, love it, but it's very difficult for those...
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it does. But it's difficult for some people, like, trying to date outside of the horse world. No? Or have you ever had an issue with that?
Not personally, no.
Have you always dated inside of the horse world then?
Yeah.
How's that been? Because that's like, it's very different, similar to the question of like family and business.
But it's easier, isn't it? Because you're doing the same shows and
But it's a lifestyle.
keep you out of trouble a bit.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
but then also I've experienced this. You then end up competing against exes, which is sometimes slightly more difficult. No,
it's fine if you win, though, isn't it?
See, that's where the real rivalry comes in. It's like, so when we said, "Is there a real rivalry?" You're like, "Absolutely not." But my exes can fall and not go clear, and I'll be happy. But it's that sort of trying to manage between. It's personal and business, isn't it? It's still that same thing, which is. Must be difficult to switch between. Well, I'd find it anyway. I'm still learning when it comes to, like, say, friendship and business. What's the two avenues? Is there any, though you say it was ingrained from a young age, was there any sort of scenarios or lessons through that personal and business that made you grow to have that ability to do so?
My dad is an incredibly intelligent guy, and business-wise, he's very, very good. So he's, kind of tried to train Will and I on that aspect. This year, I've been funding it all myself. I moved to Denmark for 6 months. I only came back because they messed up my visa. But so then I was paying for everything myself, and so it opens your eyes when you get some hefty old bills.
Yeah, I imagine you relate to that more than I do, because I stay well clear of owning a horse.
as well. Yeah, exactly. The best way to do is not to own a horse. I think I've owned like 4 horses in my life. The rest was always owners.
Yeah, I had 5 out there that I was paying for, which was expensive. Then that's when you're looking at your prize money even more.
Yeah. Who were you based with while you're out there?
Andreas Skell.
Okay.
The Danish rider.
Yeah.
So I had 5 horses with him, and then I was riding about 10, 12 from him. So yeah, it was great. I really
Was that
enjoyed
quite a unique experience, or have you been abroad before?
it. Yeah, I was at Steve Gerdat's as well when he was world number one. I was there for 3 months. That was amazing. So yeah, I was at his yard and Andreas's.
So is it quite nice for you to sort of break up being based at home by going abroad and just getting a different perspective?
Yeah, like that was more training with Steve. It was during COVID a bit when you could still just about travel. And then I was there and learned so much of him, and then came back 2 years, and then he offered me a job out in Denmark, and I could take my own horses. So it was really good. I learned so much there.
Who would go on? You was loaded to answer that question.
So how involved are your mum and dad when you come back home now? Or
They're still involved.
Yeah.
They've always been involved. They always want to see the videos.
Yeah.
They would still come to the shows. They've definitely set me free a lot more financially and training and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more by myself, but they're always there.
Yeah. Did you ever clash when you were getting trained by your mum and dad? Because
Yeah, there is plenty of times when you disagree. There's arguments. Walk off out of school.
I remember that.
You think they're stupid. They think you're an idiot. But at the end of the day, like, they're only trying to help.
Yeah. Did that ever get taken home? Because that's what I massively struggled with, is if I did badly at a show, my mum wouldn't talk to me for like 4 days.
Yeah, no, that happened. That still happens.
Even at top level, like you've still made it all to the way
child
to the top.
abuse.
Do you know what?
And again, that was a joke.
That is, but there's levels to it, and I think there's actually some cases you could probably argue is my background is I trained as an actor, went to the Brit School, went and studied further, was on film, TV, and failed massively. Failed massively. Now I do stupid. I used to do stupid TikToks, Ollie, with wigs on. I'm sure you've seen them. It's all right.
Is that when you were at drama school? Was that what you were aiming for, to do the stupid TikToks?
Oh mate,
you thought this is what I want to. This is the epitome.
I've been method acting this every Wednesday for the last 15 years in stilettos and a wig, and think this is where I'm going to perform. Funny enough,
my mum is so proud of me.
Exactly, she's not. So I don't even know where I was going to take this. I lost it on the wigs. But yeah, that's what I was going to say is. No, it's completely gone. You've thrown me with the wigs. You've thrown me with the wigs. But I had a question before you loaded yours up. In your opinion, who do you think, aside from yourself, because you have to be the best in your own brain, who do you think is the best competitor out there? Not what the leaderboard says because of stats. Who do you look at and go, animal?
So you mean the best rider?
Yeah, that.
I think at the moment, I think Ben Mayer's doing it unbelievable. He had 4 months out the ring with a back injury, and he's come back and he's now back into the top 10. He's got 6 horses he could go to a championships on. It's not just the results in the ring, winning and all of that. It's being able to find yourself the ammunition to go to shows with. And he's done that unbelievable. Like I said, he was at Brussels last week. He had one jump down in about 16 rounds, and every horse won over 30 grand each. Yeah, like I said, he's got six horses, 7 horses that he can go win a 5-star Grand Prix on.
What makes him so good?
I think he's got an incredible eye for a horse. A lot of people say, yeah, he's got money behind him. Everyone has money behind them. So even if you say Jessie Springsteen, yeah, well, her dad's Bruce, and she's got loads of money. So does every single rider. They've got a sponsor behind them willing to pay millions. So I don't think you can say so much on the look at the money side, but I think you have to just be very careful where and how you spend it. And I think Ben's done it incredible.
Is there, you say everyone at that level will have money behind them because of sponsors, etc. But in terms of that backing, in terms of where the start to being present there, has the majority of competitors come from money and had that? Is nothing wrong in having a financial advantage over other people? We've spoken about it before in the podcast. We haven't come from money. Josh didn't come from money. Where we've built to was from nothing. There needs to be a lot more done in the industry for people that have come from similar backgrounds and especially even worse backgrounds. But also, I think it's important to have the other side of that conversation, because you got to be able to have both and not say, well, it's unfair because everyone else has money to start with. There's nothing wrong in that. I think it's also important and positive to have that conversation about. Look, so you came from money. You obviously
it's a fast track, isn't it? It's I think if you're good enough, you will get there whether you're 20, 30, 40 or 50. You will end up at the top at one point. I can't name one rider that's over 40-year-old and said, yeah, if they had this, they would have made it. Because I think you make your own luck, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Scott Brash didn't have any money behind him. No, he was a second rider in a not the nicest yard up north, and now he's one of the best riders of all time because he's found his own luck, he's found his own owners, found his own horses, and he goes and wins the Grand Slam, wins gold medals at the Olympics, everything like that. He didn't come from money, but he's got it now.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Back on this podcast.
Hopefully we can get through another. It's if you do in the UK, there's something like
in the world, mate.
In the world,
don't put us down like that.
Yeah, this is why we're the number one. There's like how many podcasts are there? Like 800,000, something like that. And it was like if you do 25 episodes.
21. You always say 25.
It's a round number in me. 25, 50, 75, 100. I weren't very good at maths, I can tell.
Stick to the wigs.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're a nasty bastard. We're in a fucking conversation after this. You're in the top 1%. And then if you do another 5 after that, you're in the top 1% of that 1%.
Really?
Yeah. So this is episode number...
Is that 21 or 24?
Oh, look, there's too many numbers now. You're just throwing numbers around at me. It's just too difficult.
This is episode 17.
17. Yeah, we're getting there. Like but it's similar to what we're saying about this industry being a little bit outdated. You don't see podcasts like this. Like I think it's linking it very similar to a lot of what we spoke about is. One, it's a modern thing that people can actually do. Like we clip this down, goes across all social media platforms, and people get an insight really easily without having to digest a whole episode and then might want to go watch the whole thing. But then also for the guests of it, being really raw and honest and being like, either look, it's going to be a piss about podcast, or it's going to be a motivational podcast, or it's going to be a story, or it's going to be educational. And I think for riders, especially like yourself, the one key thing I think is really important about what we're doing in this sense is that sort of that what's behind the wall. Like because you're younger, you're not gonna like. When I thought I was really impressed with the interview that you gave to Rosie after the GCT because it was honest. It wasn't would like to thank my owners, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's going to be an interesting conversation.
That is exactly why I messaged you. Yeah, from that interview with Rosie, because I was like, wow, like obviously I don't know you, but I was like, that just showed such a like good side to you. I was like, oh, I'd love to have him on the podcast. When I see some people on social media and I'm like, bellend, not a chance.
Is there much? Are there? Do you know what? Are there many bellends in the industry?
Yeah,
don't name names.
Plenty of them. Yeah.
Don't name names. But like, what is that? Answer me that. Go into more detail. How are they bellends, and how does it affect the industry? What part of the industry are they in?
They can be an arsehole in every aspect, can't they? If it's financially, if it's in the warm-up, there's nothing worse getting stuck behind someone in the warm-up and you can't have a fence. Like it's quite funny actually. If you went to the warm-up, there'd be a lot of fights with riders and people like that, you know.
Have you had a fight in the warm-up before?
Yeah. Quite a few.
Come on.
Not anyone that you'd actually know. I'd have too much respect to do like a good rider. There was...
That was a bigger insult than punching them in the face. They're not big enough for me to even know who they are.
No, we've had a few. Like, I wouldn't get myself into it if it wasn't.
But are they like physical fights or verbal fights?
No, it'd be more verbal, and say someone would get off a horse and say, have you ever been brave enough? And then nothing would happen.
Has there ever been a physical fight that you've witnessed at a show in a warm-up ring?
Yeah, there has been a couple. There's been one or two, not many. It doesn't happen often.
Okay, what was the one or two that happened?
I'll tell you what, because I couldn't say their name because they're a friend of mine. But I'll tell you when my dad got into a big fight. I wasn't there in France, and it was this horse's First Nations Cup. So he puts the vertical down one side, and this French guy who's after them to go, he goes, I need the jump. I said, no, we're going in the ring, so I need it. Guy was having none of it. Dad puts it up. French guy puts it down, puts it up, puts it down. And he said, put your hand on that again, and I'll throw his fucking pole right in your face. So the stupid bastard touches the bowl again. So that ball went right in his face.
I can feel the tension in that warm up ring as well. I had to do the other week at Hicksted. I had to do the poles for my girlfriend. Bear in mind, as
Which you can imagine with his knowledge.
with
would
my
be
knowledge,
absolutely
I'm
hilarious.
already like I'm what people are looking.
Did you
at
have
me-
the wig on or not?
Mate, I take it everywhere. You never know when it's going to come in handy. And yeah, it was like I can see why there's tension in that when people are like in that mindset and you're already wound up.
Yeah.
And I was fuck, mate. The funny thing is I'd imagine that happened with no one watching though. Like it's a public wise because like GCT, you have like the people can see you
it
watching
wouldn't
up.
really.
Everyone's very cautious about who's seen in front. There's a rider that we know, we'll say off camera, and was warming up, and I think probably the number one rider was pissing them off. And I feel like your eyes are starting to recall what I'm on about.
I think so. Is it referring to London International?
Yeah.
I know what you're on about.
Yeah, so there's a lot of... Sorry, that was really
you guys
obscure.
carry on.
Yeah, it was very, very, very obscure and we can't let people in. But yeah, we know even at the top level, on the face of it, oh, fantastic. Everyone's happy. Everyone's friends. No, that's not always true. People get frustrated. It's a business. There's a lot of pressure onto it. You're being watched by everyone. Like you say, there's the animal welfare side, there's the brand side, there's the owner side, there's the performance side. Yeah, there gets to a point where there's a lot of eyes on you. You've got to be careful.
The nicest thing, like I said, about having an argument or a fight or whatever, but if you do well, everyone's happy for you, which is nice. Like, there wasn't one person on the showground that didn't come up to me at London or hug me, shake my hand and say well done. It was, no matter what happens, you kind of know in the warm-up it's tension, you're getting psyched up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, of course. Well, I guess no different to like boxing, is it? They punch themselves on the face, but afterwards it's full respect.
Shake each other's hands.
Yeah, exactly, and move on. Currently, obviously, if you're looking at British show jumping, you've got yourself, you've got your brother, you've got Jack Whittaker, you've got Joe Stockdale, you've got Harry Charles. There's quite a group of young lads coming through together. Is that quite nice for you guys, like
so
actually
nice.
having a group of you to like be able to come
it's
through
really
together?
nice. And to be honest, we've been together for like years because
You've done teams together, didn't you?
but even our parents were doing teams together. So then when we were
mental.
6, 7, 8 years old, we were going around the shows around Europe all together. So we've known each other for so long now.
So obviously you would have been in like two completely different worlds. You would have been at like primary, secondary school, and then you'd be off following your mum and dad around out competing. Growing up, obviously being like so involved in the equestrian industry, seeing that side of things, etc., and being a rider and coming through. Did you have any shit at school for riding?
Yeah, actually a lot. I was the gay pony boy, and it wasn't until I started to earn a lot of money, and then they they shut up straight away. So I'm calling me a gay boy. So right, okay, well I won $3,000 yesterday. What did you do?
Did you notice when you started winning money at that age that all of a sudden people treated you differently?
Yeah.
How was that?
You just didn't get the piss taken out of you.
How would they? What was their demeanour like? How? Give me examples. How would they change from one day to the next when that
They
happened?
just wouldn't bring it up really. Whereas before, like I said before in the podcast, if someone doesn't like me or someone says this, I actually couldn't care less about what someone thinks about me. But I think it's a shame because I think it puts a lot of people off riding.
Mm-hmm.
When, say, you go into school, like it's something that you nearly hide a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, if you're at the first team of football, you go in there and you can go with your chest pumped up, but yeah, you're riding, you kind of keep it on a down low.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to the top bit of the sport, I'd say it's dominated by male riders. It's amazing. It's one of the only sports with male and females competing against each other. But still, if you go the top 100 in the world, 75 of them are male.
So it's such a strange number, that, isn't it? Because then I think a lot underneath that, the industry is held up mainly by women.
Yeah.
So that those number comparisons, the stats on it, I still can't quite get my head around.
I think a lot could be to do with having children as well, isn't it? That's I think that's a big thing for.
I also think as well, if you look at show jumping, dressage, it's quite similar in that it's power. Like the amount of power that jumping off the ground and doing piaffe passage, the amount of power. So it's a lot of strength that you actually do need to have. So I do think as a male rider, that does put you in a slightly advantage, and I think that is why it's sort of dominated by male riders. We might not be particularly happy with people listening to that, but I think that there's got to be a reason behind why the top 75 of the 100 top show jumpers are men.
Oh yeah, 100%. Diverting, but on a little bit of a parallel, we had a show jumper on a little while back, and there was an interesting conversation. It was very well phrased, so I'm not going to try and reiterate it because I'll probably phrase it wrong. But similar to fighting, there's weight categories. Do you think that in show jumping would be a good thing implemented?
Yeah, like I do think there should be a weight limit, like there isn't racing. So, but then you say that, and like you say, you went to London. Did you see one person that was overweight?
No.
When if you're trying to be good enough, if that isn't enough to make you lose weight, then you're never going to be there anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
What does your training look like then?
My training.
Do you keep yourself in like good shape?
I ran a marathon last year.
Yeah, we saw. Yeah,
raised over £4,000 for charity. You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Absolutely
we did our research.
Yeah,
all
just
10 minutes before the podcast. But so what gave you the decision to go and run the marathon?
I was bored in lockdown, so I did a half marathon then with about a week's training, and I didn't find it too difficult. Like I always run to keep myself fit, because especially I'm very tall, and I'm riding small horses, and I do think the smallest bit of weight on you does make a difference. Even if it's 1%, it still makes a difference. So I do try and keep myself fit, and then I raised a few grand for horse welfare or something. I can't remember what it's called.
It was
great charity.
It was for a really good cause.
We'll make sure something pops up and shouts out the charity. Don't worry, we'll correct that one.
But that's quite an achievement.
Yeah, no, it was wicked.
Well, we haven't found out how long it took him yet.
Yeah. How long did it take you?
3 hours 40.
That is quite a good achievement. I'll give him that.
Did you run a marathon?
No, I did a half marathon.
What did you do that in?
Hour 34.
Hour 32. Sorry, mate.
Oh shit.
Oh, that would have been 50 grand if that was show jumping. He's just mugged you out of there. But
it was really hilly when I did it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
really
Brighton.
Yeah. To be fair, I think he probably could have done that half an hour quicker if he hadn't. We'll leave it at that. If he had been more sensible with his training, but
didn't go out on a night out before.
We had a friend of ours that came on. There's a bloke called Jim Galvin, and he is very good about health, fitness. He's an ex-Royal Marine. He was in the British bobsleigh team. Competed for GBR. There's a bunch of other things he does. The man is a beast, and we've sort of put to him that question of people performing more like athletes and how to treat their body. And maybe because I just don't know, because I'm clearly not a show jumper, clearly not even that good of a horse rider, but I don't see how people really train themselves. Is it quite a big thing that everyone keeps themselves in good nick, eats to the best, trains 4 or 5 times a week? Is that common, or is that?
I think a lot of riders do. I wouldn't say all of them do. I think it's not like not like you're running a marathon or playing football. It's not that physical. I think it's just as long as you're not overweight or anything. I think a lot of the riders would work out, but it's not like they're doing day in, day out food diets and everything like that. I think you just eat relatively well and try and keep healthy and fit.
Do you think they'd be better if they did? Do you reckon they'd perform better though if they did?
Yeah, no, I do. But even if I think Peter Fredriksson last year, like he went to the extreme before the Europeans or Olympics. Like he would weigh the saddle, he would weigh the stirrups, he would try and keep everything to the minimum weight for the horse.
Wow.
So I think a lot of riders do go into a lot of detail.
How did that work out for him?
Yeah, it was gold medal. So.
Oh, okay, fair play.
So there's the sort of, you've answered it yourself. Yes, they keep themselves in decent nick, but there's an element of don't really need to. When there is that much money on the line, that much pressure, why? Why aren't they doing it?
I don't think it's been a normal thing throughout the sport, has it? But I think it definitely helps. But then you go back to 2016 and Nick Skelton, when he won an individual gold, he was in a wheelchair the year before. Like he was healthy and fit, but it's not like he was athlete material at the time. He was 62 years old.
Yeah. Imagine that at that point, sometimes mentality does just trump.
100%, and his mentality is better than anyone's. That's yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's experience there that, like, someone could be fit as a fiddle, but that experience is, he's got 50 odd years in the sport.
Because it's very similar to like talent and hard work beats talent every goddamn time. And that's why I see it and I find it interesting to go, I wonder what the sport would look like if everyone competed with themselves at a higher level. From what I see, I feel like there's a lot of across all of the disciplines, that if they had a more modern and athletic mentality towards it, more competitive, like Conor McGregor at the UFC, the mentality and the physical side of it, for the money that's on the line, I think that it would change the entire industry and the results they see. I just can't wrap my head around why.
But then,
they
to be
don't
fair,
make
the
decision.
GCT is touching on that. The GCT is probably opening a door
It's the
for
closest to that.
show jumping, for like everything that's happening. And you get a few shows like that in Europe as well, even in dressage shows and stuff like that. There is a few shows where you can win some good prizes. It's just not normalised.
What I will give to the GCT is because I didn't grow up horses, so I've had to learn sort of that bond with them, and I enjoy being around them, etc., and enjoy going to Hoys and London, etc. What I will say though, the GCT was the first time that I actually went, they've nailed something here. Like the GCT, I'll go, that is actually exciting. I see what you say with the F1 thing. They are on the right lines. I don't think they've fully like fine-tuned it. There's definitely, I was looking there, I was going, what I should have is cheerleaders here, big fire cannons there, real show. But that is the show that I will take my eye off and go, actually a mainstream person could watch that and go, that is entertaining.
What's it like in Miami?
I think the show is amazing. For the horses, it's not brilliant because you don't really have the space for them.
Okay, yeah, of course. I was more talking about Miami.
I've never
You've never
been,
gone?
No,
okay, well, when you do go, let us know. We will happily travel with the horses.
Would we make it onto your plus one list, Ollie?
Yeah, you're there. Miami and Mexico do this two in one.
I'll bring my wig, mate. I'll tell you what. You
Can you bring one for me as well?
Oh, mate, 100%. We're going to girls' night out. You think you're a big deal, mate? You come to me with a horse show and a wig.
That's the way we mean business.
Yeah, that's when you'll enjoy yourself, mate. So to wrap it up, sort of like what does the future hold for you? Because you've got tip for big things. There's a lot of weight on your shoulders now. What's the next stage for you?
There's not so much this year, and then I think I'm looking more to next year. It's a long shot, but I would love to be considered for Paris. I believe my horse is good enough. He showed everyone he was good enough at London, but I just need to keep up the form, and yeah, a year's a long time, but that's the ultimate goal.
You've got to outshine your dad and get a gold medal.
Exactly. I know he only got a silver, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you joke about that with him at all? Is it kind of...
He lost it. Yeah.
Wait, he lost... Your dad lost his Olympic medal.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't... How much do you reckon they are resold for?
Probably someone could tell you.
Yeah, to be
The
fair...
guy that took it off him.
I don't think we could end it on a better note.
To be fair, I have a lovely silver medal out in my hallway.
Oh, that's very true. Oh, yeah, the Olympic one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. That weird though, different discipline. Don't know why you've got that. Ollie, thank you so much for coming on, brother. Really appreciate it. If you've been listening to this on Spotify, you can watch it on YouTube and Rumble. The numbers are fantastic, and also you get to see Ollie's face, which is
unfortunately I don't have a wig on.
You'd look a lot better if you did, mate. So I'll show you what you look like in a minute with it. We don't actually promote this, but I realised I looked at it the other day and we probably should promote it. We do have a support link because we need help, and if you click that, you can basically donate to the podcast and you can become a monthly subscriber, which basically means that everything we've put into it financially, you can help us continue to do what we love to do and you love to listen to. And I phrase that in a really good way, haven't I?
I don't know.
We'll find out. See if anyone actually
Exactly.
continues to subscribe, but we'll push that. Thanks again for listening, everyone, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, lovely. Nice one.